Hi and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm replacing the fuel pump on a W220 S500 Mercedes Benz, but the procedure applies equally to many other cars of that era. Essentially, if your fuel pump is not under the rear seat, if it is in front of the rear passenger tire, then this procedure applies to your car. As you can see here, I started to smell fuel, and then looking under the car, I noticed the leak here under the tray or the cover. There are three 10mm nuts that hold this cover to the body. Once those are removed, then the fuel pump and the fuel filter will be revealed. I have a video where I replace the fuel filter. I'll have that link in the description. As you can see here, quite a bit of fuel was leaking out. This car has about 155,000 miles. So this is the original fuel pump, and as you can see, it's leaking right out of where you see the plus sign, the positive sign of where the electrical connections are made. That's where it was leaking from, and it was spreading everywhere else. The longer of the two is the fuel pump, the one that I'm cleaning right now. The fatter one is the fuel filter. So fuel enters the fuel pump from the tank with the thick hose in the bottom lift of the screen right now, and then from there it comes out to the fuel filter, and then from there it goes to the engine. So you want to have a tray ready. If you follow the procedure here, very little fuel should leak out. These clamps, there's an assortment of these types of clamps in the US from Harbor Freight for about $6. I'll have that link in the description too. So use one and tighten it real good. Tighten it against around the fuel pipe that comes out of the tank, and so this way you're blocking any more fluid to come in into the pump or out of the tank. And there are two nuts to remove. The electrical connections. One of them is a little larger. I think one is 8mm. The one in the bottom is 7mm, and the one on top, this one, is 8mm. So you want to have some small metric sockets from 7 to 10mm. And there's a washer. So the nuts are of different size, so are the washers, and keep them separate. And of course, before that, there's a rubber cover around each of the connections. You remove that first, of course. And so move the wires to the side. Those are the washers. And so this is a special clamp remover. I'll have this in the description too. It may be a little too expensive to get it just for this one job. You can use PITTSBURGH to remove this clamp, the original clamp that comes with these cars. If yours is one with a screw, then of course you don't need this clamp. So this is how you remove that. And then I'm removing the line that comes to the filter from the pump. And I had replaced this before. That's why you see a different clamp there. These clamps, by the way, also a large assortment of these you can buy from Harbor Freight, cheap, $10, $11. And using a straight head screwdriver, while pulling and then pushing with the screwdriver, and here's another tool that I have that kind of presses against the pipe, removing it. I'll have this also in the description if you want to purchase that, but as you can see here, because the hose is clamped, very little fuel came out. And this is how this tool works. By pressing it, you kind of open or separate the hose from wherever it is tied to. You want to have a fire extinguisher ready, and of course don't smoke or work near anything combustible. And then these little nipples I've bought from Harbor Freight as well, different sizes. You can just temporarily close the hoses. And there's one Phillips screw that kind of tightens or holds together the two, that the fuel pump and the fuel filter, against the bottom side of the car. Don't remove it all the way, just otherwise the entire thing will fall out. Just enough so it loosens sufficiently to remove the pump. And I'm using a larger of these rubber silicone stoppers to stop the pump from leaking more, and then remove it from the other side. You can remove the original clamp with a pick also. It's not that hard. You just insert it and kind of force it out. So this is the one from Mercedes Benz. It's made in Poland. I would advise that you go with the Benz pump as opposed to some third party product. This I purchased as of December of 2023 from FCPEuro.com for $160 plus $75 in core charge, which I shipped to FCPEuro, and I was refunded the core charge, so it's about $160. You wanna compare the two and make sure that you connect the wires to the correct ports. So I'm showing the positive connector on both, and so put the new one in the same orientation and keep track of which wire went to where. And then you can close you can tighten it for now. May have to loosen this again a little later and then tighten it again, depending on whether or not the hoses are kinked or not. So the pump comes with two little plastic covers on two ends. So remove those. And you could use those to back on the old unit if you want to send it back to receive a core charge if somebody charges for the core. And then it's best to put the two clamps from Harbor Freight or from anywhere else that you procure on the small hose, and then connect the hose on both sides to the pump and to the filter on the other. So this pump lasted 55,000 miles. So it should last just as long again. So it's best, because, I mean, as you know, the engine needs air, spark, and gas, and so you don't want to go cheap on the pump. I mean, you certainly can. There are pumps that FCPEuro, Auto House AZ, I think right now in December sells a cheaper brand for $50. So I mean, you could get a cheaper pump. I just don't advise it. But if your budget is tight, you could go with a cheaper pump. So hand tighten these and don't over tighten it. I'd put this back on, not thinking. I should have put the clamp on first, and so reopening it. And, I mean, you can open the clamp all the way out and then put it on. Either way will work. It's just easier to do it this way. So you want to turn it until you feel that it's not going anymore, and then just a little bit more. And at this point, you can remove the hose clamp. And so as you notice here, the smaller hoses, I need to remove the screw and kind of straighten the hoses. But so you want to make sure you put on the washer first, and then followed by the nut. The bigger nut and washer go on top, and the smaller ones in the bottom, in the positive terminal. So as you tighten these, kind of hold the pump with one hand and then apply force with the other. And again, don't over tighten. Put the little rubber covers back on. What I didn't show is that I applied some brake fluid cleaner to get rid of the fuel. But so loosen the screw here, as I was mentioning before, to make sure that the kinks are removed from the hoses on both sides. And so make the final adjustments, and then tighten this back up. So what is left is to test. So you want, before you put the cover back on, you want to turn on the car. First, put it all the way to the right without so to allow the fuel to move from the pump to the engine, and then turn the engine on and look for leaks. If you see any leaks, tighten the clamps more. In this case, I didn't have to. You can leave the car on for a minute or so just to make sure. And I have the car on the lift, but if you don't have a lift, you can either jack up the rear passenger wheel or the rear of the car, placing the jack under the differential, sandwiched, put a piece of wood in between, and then lift it up from the rear that way. Or you can just do it, it would give you more room if you lift up the back of the car, but it's also doable if you just want to do the rear passenger wheel. And then put the cover back on, hand tighten all 3 nuts, and you're done. I hope you find this video of use, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.